American homeowners in their 50s and 60s are heading into peak wildfire season, with fuel plants working against their defensible zone right now. Not because you did anything wrong, because nobody ever showed American families which plants fuel a fire and which slow it. These 12 perennials build a living, low-fuel barrier that strengthens every season. Before plant number 1, drop your state right now because your USDA zone completely changes which of these performs best for you. Find yours and pay attention. And the one at number 12, Cal Fire and University Extension, confirm it within one full season. Plant number 1, hardy ice plant. While some homeowners spend $400 or more clearing hardscape for a fire break, this thick, succulent ground cover does the same defensive work for under $12 a flat. Picture a dense, low mat of jade-green, water-swollen leaves hugging the slope, exploding into hot pink blooms through the driest months, when everything around it turns brittle and brown. Zones 5 through 9, full sun, sandy, well-drained soil. Denture. University Extension research shows this succulent's water. Swollen leaves resist ignition even in extreme drought conditions. Established mats knit into a continuous moisture barrier that cuts off the dry surface fuel embers need to travel. One flat spreading into a full slope planting replaces roughly $350 in gravel fire break work. Most American homeowners plant it too close to taller flammable shrubs, breaking the barrier it was meant to create. That single mistake can undo the entire buffer, risking thousands of dollars in fire-related property damage. Space it correctly, and that $12 flat becomes a permanent, self-spreading fire buffer that never needs replacing. But ice plant only solves the ground layer, and the next plant on this list stores that same moisture in a completely different form. Have you ever grown a succulent perennial directly in your defensible space, not just in a pot? Drop it below. And somewhere in this video is the story of a retired homeowner in California who redesigned her defensible space after a nearby wildfire scare. That story is coming. Keep watching. Plant number 2, Sedum Autumn Joy, where ice plant hugs the ground. This one stores the same fire-resisting moisture upright, standing nearly 2 feet tall for under $15 a start. Picture thick, fleshy gray-green rosettes climbing into rust-pink flower clusters that stay plump and hydrated straight through the driest stretch of the year. Zones 3 through 9, full sun, average well-drained soil. University Extension Fire. Wise Guides list sedum among the highest moisture succulents for defensible space zones. Its thick leaves hold water reserves, keeping the plant hydrated and slow, burning after thinner perennials have dried out. One nursery clump divides into a dozen plants within 2 seasons, replacing roughly $200 in repeat purchases. Most American growers leave last year's dried flower stalks standing through fire season instead of cutting them back. Those dead stalks turn a fire-resistant plant into dry fuel, undoing the entire point of planting it. Cut those stalks back each fall, and that one clump keeps multiplying into a permanent, fire-resisting hedge line every season without another purchase. But sedum only breaks fire at ground and mid-height. The next plant on this list adds something no round-leaved succulent can. Have you ever grown a succulent perennial for a specific defensive purpose, not just decoration? Plant number 3, Bearded Iris. While landscapers charge $200 or more to install a structured fuel break, this fan-leaved perennial does the same job for under $20 a rhizome. Picture tight, sword-shaped fans standing upright in a dense clump, low in moisture-holding mass, yet structured enough to slow ground-level spread along a property line. Zones 3 through 9, full sun, well-drained soil. Cal Fire guidelines list bearded iris among low-fuel perennials suited for structured defensible space borders. Its rhizome sits at the soil surface, storing moisture that resists quick ignition even after weeks without rain. One rhizome multiplies into a full clump within 3 years, replacing roughly $150 in nursery costs. Most American growers let clumps overcrowd for years without dividing them, trapping dry leaf litter underneath. That trapped litter becomes hidden fuel, quietly working against the barrier the iris was planted to create. Divide that clump every 3 years, and its fan shape keeps doing double duty as a fuel break for the life of your garden. But this next plant does something no fan-leaved perennial can. It becomes the boldest visual anchor in the entire defensible zone. Have you ever grown a perennial specifically to divide and multiply along a border? Drop it below. Plant number 4, Red Hot Poker. While ornamental torch-style accents at a nursery run $30 or more per pot, this perennial delivers the same bold anchor for under $18 a division. Picture tall, torch-shaped spikes rising in orange and red above a tight, grassy base that holds moisture low to the ground. Zones 5 through 9, full sun, well-drained soil. University Extension Defensible. Space Research lists Red Hot Poker among low-fuel accent perennials for fire-wise borders. Its grassy base holds moisture at ground level, while the tall bloom spike stays green and hydrated through peak dry months. One division multiplies into a full clump within 2 years, replacing roughly $100 in repeat nursery purchases. Most American growers leave spent flower spikes standing through fire season instead of trimming them back. Those dried spikes turn a moisture-rich accent plant into standing fuel right along the property line. Trim those spikes each fall, and this bold accent keeps anchoring your defensible zone without ever turning into standing fuel. But the next plant on this list shrinks that same fire-resisting logic down into something small enough to pack into every gap along your border, closing off the tiny fuel channels the taller perennials leave behind. Plant number 5, Hens and Chicks. While decorative gap fillers at a garden center run $8 or more per small pot, this succulent spreads to cover the same ground for under $10 a starter clump. Picture tight, star-shaped rosettes tucking into every rocky gap and border seam, each one packed with water reserves that keep it plump straight through drought. Zones 3 through 8, full sun, well-drained soil. CAL FIRE guidelines note that succulent gap fillers like hens and chicks close the tiny fuel channels taller perennials leave exposed. Each rosette stores water in tightly layered leaves, staying plump long after surrounding mulch dries out completely. One starter clump multiplies into dozens of offsets within a single season, replacing roughly $80 in repeat gap filler purchases. Most American growers pile wood mulch directly against the rosette crown instead of leaving it clear. That buried crown traps moisture and rot, weakening the very plant meant to hold the fire line. Keep that crown clear, and one small clump quietly multiplies into dozens of offsets that permanently close every fuel gap along your border. And we have not even reached number 6 yet. This is the plant that pests and fire both avoid. Did you believe succulents needed constant watering to survive drought conditions like these? Be completely honest in the comments. Plant number 6, Society Garlic. While deer and rabbit repellent sprays cost $20 or more per bottle and need constant reapplying, this fragrant perennial repels both permanently for under $12 a clump. Picture narrow, silver-green grassy leaves topped with soft lavender blooms, holding enough moisture in their base to resist quick ignition along the border. Zones 7 through 10, full sun, well-drained soil. University Extension notes, Society Garlic's sulfur compounds deter deer and rabbits, while its grassy base holds fire, resisting moisture. That same scent also keeps the clump largely untouched by common garden pests. Unlike most flowering border perennials, one clump divides into 4 within 2 years, replacing roughly $90 in yearly repellent spray costs. Most American growers leave clumps undivided for years, letting the center die out and dry into fuel. That dead center quietly breaks the continuous border it was planted to maintain. Divide that clump every 2 years, and this fragrant border keeps repelling pests while holding its place in the fire line permanently, without ever thinning out at the center. 6 plants in, and one homeowner did not wait for an official warning to redesign her entire defensible zone after coming far too close to losing everything. Earlier, at the start of this video, I mentioned a homeowner in California. This is that story. In Zone 8, after a wildfire came close enough to see the smoke from her own yard, she replaced $800 in ornamental shrubs with low-fuel perennials, following the same Wildfire Defensible Space Guidance University Extension offices had been publishing for years. Her insurance risk assessment improved within 1 season, and that $800 investment now maintains itself permanently along her Zone 8 property line. If you are still watching, this next plant is why I made this video, not for the algorithm, for the grower who stayed. Here is a bonus most sources skip. Cal Fire recommends keeping the first 5 feet from your structure to low. Fuel plants exactly like these, spaced to prevent flame contact entirely. Plant number 7, Coral Bells. While shade-tolerant ornamentals at a nursery run $15 or more per pot, this compact perennial fills the same shaded gap for under $15 a division. Picture a tight mound of ruffled, burgundy-red leaves holding moisture even in partial shade, where dry leaf litter tends to collect unnoticed along a fence line. Zones 4 through 9. Partial shade, well-drained soil. University Extension guides note Coral Bells as a low-fuel shade perennial, useful where taller plants struggle near fences and structures. Its ruffled leaves hold moisture year-round, staying pliable and slow, burning even in the dry shade pockets other plants abandon. One division fills a full mound within a single season, replacing roughly $60 in repeat shade plant purchases. Most American growers let dry leaf litter collect underneath the mound instead of clearing it out. That hidden litter becomes ready fuel, exactly where a fence meets the house. Clear that litter each fall, and this shaded mound quietly closes the fuel gap. Most homeowners never even check near their fence line. But the next plant on this list does something even Coral Bells cannot. Its leaves carry a natural fire-resisting coating that most American gardeners walk past without ever noticing what it actually does. Plant number 8, Lamb's Ear. While silver foliage ground covers at a nursery run $10 or more per pot, this spreading perennial covers triple the ground for under $12 a start. Picture soft, silver-felted leaves forming a dense mound, their fuzzy coating trapping moisture close to the surface where dry ground fuel usually builds up fastest. Zones 4 through 9. Full sun, well-drained soil. University Extension notes the felted coating on Lamb's Ear leaves traps a thin moisture layer that resists quick drying even in full sun exposure. That same coating also deflects excess surface heat, keeping ground level fuel buildup slower than bare mulch or gravel alone. One start spreads to cover triple the ground within a season, replacing roughly $70 in repeat ground cover purchases. Most American growers overwater this plant out of habit, rotting the felted crown from underneath. That rot kills the exact moisture barrier the plant was meant to provide. Water it sparingly, and that felted coating keeps doing quiet, permanent fire-resisting work along every gap it spreads into. But the next plant on this list trades soft texture for pure toughness, thriving in the harshest, driest corners of a property where almost everything else on this border would struggle to survive. Plant number 9, Blanket Flower. While heat-tolerant bloomers at a nursery run $12 or more per pot, this rugged perennial blooms through conditions that kill most competitors for under $12 a start. Picture vivid red-orange, daisy-shaped blooms rising from a low gray-green base, that thrives in gravelly, sun-baked soil. Zones 3 through 9, full sun, well-drained soil. University Extension lists blanket flower among the toughest low-fuel bloomers, thriving in the poor gravelly soil that borders driveways and fire breaks. Its low, compact growth habit means less dry material accumulates compared to taller flowering perennials nearby. One starts self, seeds into a full patch within 2 seasons, replacing roughly $70 in repeat bedding. Plant purchases. Most American growers planted in rich, fertilized soil expecting bigger blooms, weakening its natural toughness. That weakened growth turns leggy and sparse, leaving gaps in the fire line it was meant to hold. Skip the fertilizer, and that toughness keeps this patch self-seeding into a permanent, drought-proof section of your fire line every single year without any extra work. We are closing out this list now, saving the toughest California native finishers for last, and one of them has not been named in this video yet at all. Plant number 10, African Daisy. While imported annual color at a nursery runs $8 or more per flat and dies out every year, this perennial delivers repeat bloom for under $12 a start. Picture bright purple and white daisy blooms rising from silver-gray foliage that conserves moisture and resists quick ignition through the hottest stretch of summer. Zones 9 through 11. Full sun, well-drained soil. University Extension confirms African Daisy behaves as a true perennial in zones 9 through 11, though nurseries frequently mislabel and sell it as a one-season annual. Its silver-gray foliage reflects heat and conserves moisture, keeping the plant slow, burning through peak summer conditions. One start fills a full patch within a season, replacing roughly $60 in yearly annual bedding replacement costs. Most American growers in warm zones toss it out each fall, believing the mislabeled tag telling them it is done. That mistake means repurchasing a perennial every single year for no reason at all. Leave it in the ground through winter in warm zones, and that mislabeled annual becomes a permanent, repeat blooming investment section of your fire line every year. The next plant on this list is a true California native, built by generations of drought to survive exactly the conditions this entire border was designed for. Plant number 11, California Fuchsia. While ornamental hummingbird plants at a nursery run $10 or more per pot and struggle in drought, this true native thrives on neglect for under $15 a start. Picture: narrow, gray-green foliage spreading low across the ground, topped with tubular red-orange blooms built by this exact climate over thousands of years. Zones 8 through 10. Full sun, well-drained soil. University Extension confirms California Fuchsia as a true chaparral native, evolved to hold foliage moisture through summer fire season without irrigation. Its spreading habit fills bare ground quickly, closing exactly the gaps wildfire embers travel through fastest. One start spreads into a full patch within 2 seasons, replacing roughly $80 in repeat native plant purchases. Most American growers keep irrigation running through its natural summer dormancy, rotting roots built for drought. That overwatering kills the trait that made this plant fire-resistant in the first place. Shut off the sprinkler in summer, and this native keeps spreading into a permanent, self-sustaining stretch of your fire line, built by this exact climate over thousands of years. One plant remains now, the one teased at the very start of this video, and its reveal closes out this entire defensible border. Plant number 12, Autumn Sage. While ornamental flowering shrubs at a nursery run $20 or more per pot, this aromatic perennial delivers season-long color for under $15 a start. Picture a woody-based mound of fine gray-green leaves covered in vivid red-orange blooms, its low oil content keeping it far slower burning. Zones 7 through 10. Full sun, well-drained soil. Sigh, the Lola Wan sign. CAL FIRE guidelines list autumn sage among low-fuel flowering shrubs, valued for its low resinous oil content compared to most ornamental sages. Its aromatic leaves stay pliable and hydrated through peak dry months. Unlike woodier Mediterranean shrubs planted nearby, one start fills into a full mound within 2 seasons, replacing roughly $100 in repeat flowering shrub purchases. Most American growers skip annual pruning, letting dead wood build up densely inside the shrub. That hidden dead wood turns a low-fuel bloomer into a genuine fire hazard at the base. Prune it back each spring, and this closing plant keeps anchoring your entire border as a permanent, low-fuel investment for decades to come. 12 plants down, and there are still 3 things about this defensible border that almost no source puts in one place, starting right now before we close this out completely. 3 things about this defensible border that almost no source puts in one place. Secret 1. Wildfire recommends the first 5 feet from any structure stay planted only with low-fuel perennials, exactly like these 12, spaced to prevent any direct flame contact with the home itself. Secret 2. Replacing a full ornamental border with these plants typically runs $300 to $600, often paid back through a lower home insurance risk assessment within the very first year. Secret 3. Most county and state fire agency websites publish interactive risk maps most homeowners never think to check before planting their border. Together, these 12 perennials function as a compounding investment, requiring less water and less replacement every single year. They establish further into your defensible zone. Unlike ornamental shrubs that need constant upkeep, here is exactly where to begin, based on your zone right now. Here is exactly where to begin. Zones 3 through 7. Select sedum, bearded iris, red hot poker, hens and chicks, lamb's ear, and blanket flower. A cold hardy subset totaling roughly $45 to $87 for one start of each, building a permanent, compounding cold climate fire buffer that expands wider and burns slower every single season it establishes further. Zones 8 through 11. Select Society, Garlic, African Daisy, California Fuchsia, and Autumn Sage, a warm zone subset totaling roughly $30 to $52 for one start of each, all thriving in exactly the heat and drought that peak fire season brings. The establishment window before that peak season closes within weeks. You just received zone-accurate, dollar-grounded research from CALFIRE and University Extension that most American gardening channels never put together in one single place. If defensible space matters where you live, hit like right now. Before we close this video out completely, drop your state and zone below and tell us exactly which plant you are planting first this season to start your own defensible border. Today, subscribe to Natural Verge, 50 years of plant knowledge delivered every week for the grower who actually wants to know before the next fire season arrives.